Welcome to the session on leadership. In the last class, we have discussed about what is leadership, the definition of leadership, and we have visited some of the trait theories of leadership and behavioral theories of leadership. Today, we will continue with some more of the behavioral theories, and we will move to the situational leadership styles and look into like other theories which are contingency leadership styles. And in this part of this discussion and in the next slide session, we will continue with more recent leadership styles and leadership in the cultural context and whether leadership can be substituted or not. So, first we will look into a leadership style which is called Reddin's 3D model of leadership. Bill Reddin introduced a leadership style which contains of 4 basic types like high relationship orientation and high task orientation, which is called integrated type, high relationship orientation and low task orientation, which is called related type, low relationship orientation and high task orientation, which is called a dedicated type, and low relationship orientation and low task orientation, which is called a separated type. So, what Reddin did is based on the effectiveness of each of these styles in different types of situations, like whether you are applying this particular type of this style in the appropriate situation or not. Based on that, the Reddin classified this model into 8 leadership styles, like whether it's, and that is called, like this model has been called like Reddin's 3D model of leadership effectiveness. Means these are the basic styles, no doubt, but whether you are applying properly to a particular situation or not, that will again define your style of leadership. So, we will try to visit into each of these 4 styles of leadership and along with the subtypes of it based on its effectiveness, whether it is effective in a particular situation, then what is the name given to it. If it is not effective style in a particular situation, then what is the name given to it. See, this table below shows, like for the basic types, there are again 2 parts of it, the less effective style and the more effective style. Like for the separated, the less effective style is the deserter and the more effective style is the bureaucratic. For related, the less effective style is missionary and for the more effective style is developer. For a dedicated basic type, the less effective style is autocratic and more effective style is benevolent autocratic. And for the integrated type, the less effective style is compromiser and the more effective style is the executive. Now, what we will do, we will try to go to the details of each of these types so that we can know them in better way. Like when the basic style is separated basic type, then the less effective style is known as deserter. So, in this what is happening, this is basically a laissez-faire approach in which the team is left to its own self and the leader avoids any involvement or intervention in the group which may upset the status. So, the leader takes a very neutral attitude towards what is going on during the day. So, it is looking the other way to enforce the rules, and the activities done are defensive in nature. So, because what happens, like I do not want to get involved in the whole thing, and I separate myself out from the group in situation when it is needed. That is what it differentiates a deserter, which becomes a less effective style, from bureaucratic, which is a more effective leadership style. like where maybe it's more needed, like you become a part and part of the situation, and you try to involve yourself in it, you try to guide the people, and in those situations, like they may be seemed as autocratic, rigid or fussy, but in some cases this type of leadership is required. So, based on the situation and whether you separate yourself or you get yourself involved, one of the style gets its name as being less effective or being more effective in nature. Which is when you are talking about the dedicated basic types. So, the less effective style is autocratic, where the concern for production and output outweighs the concern for people and their relationship. So, people make unilateral decisions, they feel no need to justify their decisions, and feel like they want to be formal when they assign the tasks to the subordinates. In that case, it's more of like more concerned with the task rather than being concerned with the people. So, they are straightforward and critical in nature. This is again called less autocratic, less effective based on the situation, like when it is done again. Benevolent autocratic is taken to be a more effective leadership style. So, in this what happens, it is autocratic in nature, but they communicate with their subordinates, they convey to them the messages, they discuss with them, they answer their queries, they keep in touch with their subordinates, and they delegate the responsibilities. So, what's happening over here? They do not want to antagonize their subordinates. So, they are meeting the group needs, but not at the cost of the individual personal relationship. So, this again is a sort of more effective leadership style as compared to only the autocratic leaders. When you are talking of the related basic types, missionary is less effective leadership. So, why? So, it tries to take care of the person too much and sometimes forgets about the task at hand. So, too much of personal orientation and too much of like sensitivity towards person's needs and concerns, but less of focus, very less focus on the task at hand, which may, for the reason of which task may suffer. When you are talking of a developer is following person orientation to the degree to where it is required and also being task oriented. So, if it is not required for a particular situation to be too much of person orientation, but you have to be focused towards the task also. Developer is a person who keeps a balance and looks towards that. What he focuses is on trust on the subordinates, trust developed and a good climate which can like take care of the personal needs and also the task, and both can be blended together. So, that is called the developer. When you are talking of a compromiser, and which is an integrated basic type, where there is more of integration between human relations and orientation and task orientation. So, when you are talking of compromise, this is less effective style. So, what is done in order to alleviate immediate pressure, they have tried to resort to compromise to situations which again may spring up later on. So, it's they may, what they do is vacillate the requirement of the task and demand for human relations. So, this is not much of an effective style as compared to like when we are talking of an executive. So, where this executive is, there is an approach to integrate task orientation and human relations orientation in response to realistic demand. So, it is consultative, interactive and problem solving approach. So, this approach is called managing operations, which require exploration of alternate solutions. So, in discussion with people in solving problem solving, they plan and decision making, they come to they arrive at a particular solution about how things to be done, and it based on collective ideas and suggestions. So, people who participate this style practice this style are people who are practicing this style are generally called to be like good motivators. People are taken to be good motivators, and they can deal openly with the conflict and try to gain collective commitment. So, these are eight different ways of classifying the basic style. Whatever names may appear to be overlapping, like when you are talking of autocratic, benevolent autocratic, and when you are talking of like in the developer and executives. So, these terms may appear to be overlapping. So, what we can do for a particular domain, we can take to be the like plus and minus based on the effectiveness of the leadership style. Again, a style is effective when it is applicable to a particular situation. If the situation demands that style and you also undertake that style, then it is more effective in nature as compared to the style of like the leadership style you have, and if it is not matching with the particular demands of the situation. So, that is how we classify these leadership styles into 8 different styles. 6 emotional leadership styles by Goldman. So, the Goldman classified leadership styles into like the visionary leader, so who moves people towards a shared vision, telling them where to go, how to go, sort of thing, but not defining too much how to go, in the sense like they have to struggle forward to know how to go forward. They are only telling them where to go. Then openly sharing information and giving them powers to knowledge powers to others. Then it is more working when new direction is to be given, and while trying to motivate more experienced people, experts or peers, this style may fail, in that sense like these experienced people have already developed some style of their own. So, it has a very positive impact on the climate. So, first style is the visionary leader. Affiliative leader is one who creates people connections and thus harmony within the organization. So, it is a very collaborative style which focuses on emotional needs over the work needs. So, this can be used alongside visionary leadership. So, why? Because when people are connected to each other and they understand the vision of the organization, they can imbibe that vision within themselves, share it with others, and form a group which shares the vision of the organization and work accordingly. So, it has a positive impact on climate. The coaching leader is one who tries to connect individual wants to the organizational goals. A coaching leader is one who tries to discuss things beyond the workplace, helps people to find the strengths and weaknesses and tying these to their career aspirations and actions. So, people have to be expert in coaching, because this helps to build the long term capabilities of people, and it's like it tries to develop the people, it tries to develop potentials of the people. So, these are very important styles and how you use it, and it has a very high positive impact on the climate. And this coaching style helps to coaching leader is helpful in designing challenging assignments, because people can get the feeling of like doing something very important, challenging, interesting, and the person is there to guide them. Democratic leader acts to value inputs and commitment via participation, listening to both bad and the good news. So, if it is not done correctly, it shows like everything has been heard but no action has been taken. So, people have to be very cautious of using this style, and again it has a positive impact on the climate. The pace setting leader is one who builds challenging and exciting roles for people, expecting excellence and often exemplifying themselves. So, they identify the poor performers and demand more of them. So, they tend to be low on guidance, expecting people to know what to do. So, this somewhat lacks emotional intelligence, especially that of self-management, and this is if poorly done may lead to negative effect on the climate. So, when you are trying to be a pace setting leader, you have to be very cautious about what goals you are setting, what challenges you are setting, and how you are going to participate in it. The commanding leader soothes fears and gives clear direction to his or her powerful stance, commanding and expecting full compliance. So, they need emotional self-control for success and can seem cool and distant. So, this is more important in terms of crisis. So, where you need unquestioning rapid action and with problem employees who do not respond to other methods. So, what you find over here, all the leadership styles are important in their own perspective based on what situations it is applicable. So, it is nothing again like this is good, this is bad. Each of the situations, the uniqueness of the situation requires what type of style that the leader should use, and maybe a good leader is one who can sense the situation and try to apply the skills, the style which is appropriate for that particular situation. When you are talking of situation, there are situational approaches to leadership also. So, situational leadership theory refers to the belief that relative importance of leadership behaviors depends on the situation. The aspects of the situation which tries to modify the importance of behavior are called situational moderator variables. So, situational leadership theories suggest that leadership effectiveness depends on the fit between the personality, task, power, attitudes and perception. An effective leader must be flexible and adaptive. So, as deciding how to lead is difficult and requires an analysis of leader, group and situation. So, like who is a successful manager? Like successful manager maintains a high average in accessing the forces that determine what's most appropriate behavior at any given time, should be and actually being able to behave accordingly. So, situational factors like value system, wants, confidence, willingness will determine the balance between the use of authority by the leader and decision making and action freedom for followers. So, if we want to fix up the style accordingly, the different styles are telling, selling, suggesting, consulting, joining, delegating and abdicating. When we are talking of contingency theory of leadership, this contingency leadership model, it assumes the group performance depends on not only the trait and behavior part, but the leadership style and the situational favourness. So, the first style leadership model which is identified over here is least preferred co-worker LPC. So, this is analyzed by telling like which is the leadership style which is more preferable by the persons who are holding a positive or negative opinion towards something, and with whom like he will prefer to work. So, low task orientation leadership style and indicates is indicated by the low score, and high score is indicated by a relationship oriented style between like high LPC leader. So, there is a difference in how this style gets interpreted according to the whether you are you're showing your positive feelings or emotions, or you are you're indicating from your your preference by having a like low score on the low score on low score of how you understand a particular individual and your preference for a particular individual. So, this part like you can like if you can understand by a particular picture, then this is where you are asked to grade whether someone is more favorable or less favorable to a particular person, and a series of bipolar activities like pleasant, unpleasant, friendly, unfriendly. So, what's happened is whether to the degree to which LPC scores correlated with effectiveness was modified by the situational favorability factor. Now, situational favorability variable consisted of three aspects of situation, like the leader member relation, position, power and task structure. So, leader member relationship is the degree of trust, confidence and respect that followers have in their leader. That is the greatest impact on the situational favorability. Task structure is the extent to which the follower takes the structure structured and is the second most influential factor. Position, power is the amount of leader's formal power. All these things separately and together will determine whether I will put someone in the close group, in group, or in the out group. So, most favorable situation is one in which there is good leader-member relationship, high task structure and strong position power. The least favorable situation is associated with poor leader-member relationship, low task structure and weak position power. So, according to Fiedler, low LPC or task-oriented leaders are best in situations of low and high favorability. In high LPC, leaders are best in situations of moderate favorability. Situation is neither very good nor very bad. So, if you can see, like when you are either of high or low favorability, in both the cases you can be task oriented. But when you are in a moderate situation and if you want to motivate the people or inspire the people, then maybe relationship oriented leader is the best answer. So, Fiedler also asserts that leaders cannot be effectively trained until and unless they change they are willing to change their leadership style. And again, the favorability of the situation should be changed to fit the leader's style by identifying what is the leader's style. So, identify the situational variables of the leader's situation and selecting the best strategy for matching the situation to the leader's style. So, these are the three things which needs to be done so that the situation appears favorable, and based on that what leadership style should best fit into that particular situation. Another contingency model which was proposed by Fiedler was the cognitive resource model, and Fiedler stated that cognitive models become significant only when the leader is directive, when there is little stress, and when the leader has some expertise that cannot be performed by subordinates. So, the theory predicts that in low stress situations the leader's intelligence has a strong impact on effectiveness, and in high stress conditions the leader's expertise is more important. So, we have to realize this and try to use the appropriate leadership style for particular situations. When you are talking of the path goal model, what it does, it attempts to predict leadership effectiveness in different situations. It is stated that the leaders are effective via positively influencing subordinate motivation, performance ability and satisfaction. So, it is based on the expectancy model motivation theory and assumes that leaders should clarify to the subordinates the behaviors that result in achieving their goals. That is why this is called the path goal theory. The leader has to tell the goal and show them the path how to lead to that goal. It identifies 4 leadership style: directive leader, informs the subordinates of what is expected of them; supportive leader who treats subordinates as equals; participative leader who consults the subordinates and use their suggestions and ideas in reaching a decision; achievement oriented leader who sets challenging goals for people and sets performance standards, continuously seeks their performance improvement. So, these are the 4 different leadership styles. So, other 2 types of situational variables which I proposed are subordinates' personal characteristics. So, and the other is environmental pressures and demand, including the task, the organization's authority system, work group, and all these factors are there. So, in work group, these are essential factors which are not under the direct subordinates control, but that influence performance and satisfaction. So, it is told that this leadership affects subordinates' performance by, like, it motivates the subordinates, helping them to cope with the environment and uncertainties, boosting subordinate expectancies and instrumentalities. The path goal model, a critique of that is like the way still now, like, the concept is not that much developed to, like, we can discuss about it. Predictive power, the weaknesses is the subordinate's behavior may be causing changes in the leader's behavior and not the vice versa. So, it resulted in development of very few hypotheses, and the strengths are like attempts to indicate what factors affect motivation to perform, introduce both situational and individual differences in terms of examining the leadership. Then is attempts to explain why a particular leadership style works best in a given situation. So, these we have to take care of the pros and cons of a particular approach before we are deciding into which is the proper style to use. When we are talking of the Hershey-Blanchard style, this is a style which takes care of the followers and their development level before we try to reach a particular style which is suitable to a particular situation. So, situational leadership theory, the contingency, it is a contingency theory that focuses on the follower's readiness. The more ready the follower, the less then the need for leader support and supervision. Situational leadership theory emphasizes leaders' ability to judge followers' maturity level and to use the appropriate leadership style. Readiness is the ability and willingness of the people to take responsibility for the direction of for directing their own behavior, and it can be two ways of readiness is job readiness and the psychological readiness. So, job readiness is the knowledge and ability of the job at hand, like people that develop without a manager telling you what to do, you know what this job is exactly about. Psychological readiness, what you are calling of self motivation and desire to do things of high quality job. When you are talking of leadership styles which are available to managers, there are 4 leadership styles as telling, selling, participating and delegating, as also like some of these we have discussed earlier, but that is like for purpose of repetition. And emphasizing the importance of the point, like telling style is one which leader defines roles, needs to do the job and tells followers what, when, how and where do they have tasks and when to do that task. Selling is leader provides followers with structured instruction, but is also supportive. Participative is leader and follower shares their decisions about how to do the best, how to do a particular solution. And delegating is leader provides responsibility, specific, close direction and personal support to the followers. Then while using SLT, the manager must be very cautious about how to identify with the followers' readiness, then task behavior in how to do the guidance, which calls for guidance, Then relationship behavior, which calls for support. Then choose the particular supervisor trait which tries to suit the leadership, which tries to feed the subordinates R state, like readiness state. When that is done, then it's a proper mapping. Otherwise, like it's not, and it's not, and maybe you adopt an style of leadership which is not very effective, based on, because by that time the preferences of people coming to the organization and needs to be like or emerge as follows. By that time maybe preferences have changed. So it's better like to keep the readiness of the individuals into concern when we are talking of the like the faculties, when you're talking of the faculties to be nurtured by the leaders, and what type of supervision style that person is going to follow. So, whether it is telling, selling, participating, or the delegating style. Here you can find like the all the full leadership styles starting from S1, S2, S3 to S4. S1 starting with the point like the job is to provide specific instruction, closely supervise the performance, and it is high task and low level. In this way, when you reach S4, it is turnover responsibility for decisions and implementation. It's low relationship and low task orientation, and below, what is more important that you find over here is like the relationship with the followers is very important, and it is written from high to low, and the people have categorized it. Then situational leadership style, though it is attractive to managers, it may leads to leaves unanswered questions, and like the unanswered questions, does it work? So, or there are some practical applications of it also. Then this evidence was not supported by Hershey Blanchard, and what are the predictions that can be made from the situational leadership style? Which of the style which works best? These things have not been are not very clear from the module. Leader member exchange approach is another approach which is used to measure in group and out group. Leaders select certain followers to be in group and based on competence and or compatibility and similarity to the leader, and out groups or people are those who are classified as those whom we don't see as like leader member exchange relationship is used to measure in group and out group, and some people are taken as in group members as favorites based on competence and or compatibility and like similarity to the leader. So, exchange with this in group member are much higher as compared with those who are out group, in the sense we do not share very core ideas with the people who are there in the out group, and as a result, like because the in group members are very close to the leader, what happens, they get better performance ratings and less turnover and greater job satisfaction. So, we can represent this with this. When we find like there is a leader and you find two types of groups like the in group and the out group, like, and with the members of the in group there is a good communication based on like the trust and high interactions, and with the out group members there is only formal relationships. when we are comparing the situational approaches, similarities between the model are like focus on the dynamics of relationship. It stimulates further research and relationship, and they remain controversial because of measurement problems and limited research testing and contradictory research results. Vroom, Yeton and Jago model of leadership. This is a leadership style where people have to make decisions, and how there are varying degrees of participative decision making by the leader and how it is effective. It assumes that no single leadership style is right for every situation. Unlike Fiedler's model, this model assumes that leaders must be able to alter their decisions making style to fit certain situations, not vice versa. Then other assumptions are like this model should be of use in determining which leadership style should be used in various situations. No single style is applicable, and main focus should be on the problem to be solved and the situation in which the problem occurs. Then style which is used in one situation should not be constraint. The style in other should not be a constraint to the style which is used in other situations. Social problems influence subordinates' participation in problem solving. So, from Jago modified model to make it more accurate and predictable. Two key features of this model are like employs the same decision process which is there in the original Vroom-Yeton model, and returns the criteria against which the effects of participation are evaluated. So, it is on decision quality, decision acceptance and subordinate development, and participation on time. Decision effectiveness depends on decision quality and subordinate commitment. Decision quality refers to the technical aspects of decision. So, a decision is high quality to the extent it is consistent with the organizational goals and with potentially available information. Subordinate commitment refers to the acceptance of decision by subordinates as indicated by feelings of commitment and joint ownership. Decision time refers to the extent to which a decision is made in a timely manner. Based on this, there are few decision styles like autocratic, the leader makes the decision without input from the followers. Consultative, subordinates have some input, but the leader makes the final decision. Group, the group makes the decision with the leader as just another group member. And delegated is the leader who authorizes the group to make certain decisions. So, to know like which decision style is there, there is a diagnostic procedure, and the way that we have to diagnose this thing is we have to ask certain relevant questions like how important is the technical quality to the decision, how important is subordinate commitment to the decision. So, you have sufficient information to make high quality decisions. Is the problem well structured? If making the decision alone, are you reasonably certain your subordinates will be committed to the decision? Do your subordinates share the organizational goals to be attained? Is conflict among subordinates over preferred solution likely? Do subordinates have sufficient information to make high quality decisions? So, these are few relevant questions that you should ask to diagnose what is the leadership style being followed. And these are some of the levels like like for each of these A1, A2, you find like the complexity with what you look at a particular situation, it changes, the depth changes when you are looking at the different alternatives from the top to bottom. And this is how the branching takes place. Like you state the problem, then if you decide on yes for certain particular node, then you go on branching towards yes, no, in that sense, and at the end you reach to this particular decisions, like if something is no, then what is to be done, if something is yes, then what is to be done, based on again based on these few questions that you ask to the group, and whether you are following what style, like autocratic, consultative, group, and delegate leader. Application of the model is it's very complex, of the complexity of the equation, and so whether you go for decision trees or you go for a computer based program, and what is the validity of the model, and how far it's empirically established. So how do you know, like what is the cost and benefit of the participation, and what is the value for what is the value of the whole process, in the sense like how it's worthy for the per organization to adopt this model. So these are some of the validity checks that has to be done. So before we end, what we find over here, we have gone through few of the leadership style, and if you can understand, like in this style, here we have done is maybe known the different styles proposed by different authors. There are few overlap in these styles also, like when you are talking of Likert style, when you are model of leadership, when you are talking of path goal, or when you are talking of Hershey-Blanchett model of leadership, there are overlaps amongst these theories, and also there are points of difference on these theories also, based on the uniqueness of the theory, what they are focusing on, and in what situations it should be used. Like prudence lies over here, like you understanding the need of the situation and then trying to adapt a particular style that suits your purpose. Thank you. In the next lecture, we will try to focus more on some of the leadership styles and try to see how culture affects the leadership style and what are the substitutes of leadership. Thank you.